Welcome back to my channel. Wait, I sold my van. Oh yeah, but I still can't get van life out of me. So what did I do? I bought a new van. And with the new van, I decided, you know what? Maybe my channel isn't so specific of van life, but how to survive and do DIY things to save money, because I think that's what's actually leading my channel a little bit more than van life, is I want to make more videos about cool things that I'm doing.
Hey guys, just a quick heads up, if you do like the contents of this video, make sure to hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. It makes me really happy, and it makes me want to make more videos for you guys, so if you have already, I appreciate the love. And now back to the video.
So a lot of things have actually happened since I traveled. So let me just play back a little bit of what went on and how to explain, I guess, the transition that is going on in my channel right now. So right away, I want to talk about my traveling and kind of that experience and how it's transitioning into my second chapter. So as you guys know, my channel was called Big Thirsty. It was the name of my big red van. I built that van out in about, I want to say 6 to 9 months. And then I actually was kind of forced and pushed out into the abyss of traveling. I felt very unprepared, but I really wasn't. I was overthinking. When I got on the road, I realized this isn't so bad, but I only realized that about 6 months on the road. So my initial travels, I went from Minnesota, moved to my mom's quick for like 2 months to finish my van with no rent. And then I went straight, and this was September 21st, I believe, 2018. I set off on the road and I traveled Wyoming, then down to Boulder, Colorado, stayed there for about a week and stayed in just a random parking lot. I avoided using Planet Fitness right away because I didn't feel like that was necessary. It was necessary, and it actually provided a little bit of direction on my travel as I kind of meandered into Oregon. I had a state park pass, well, the National Forest State Park pass, which was like 80 bucks, and I had an OLCC recreational marijuana trimming license. I applied for that before I actually traveled. I drove from South Dakota to Oregon in about 2 weeks, stayed there for about 2 weeks, got a job off of Indeed actually at a recreational marijuana farm, and I worked there for about a month and a half and made pretty decent money. I mean, you gotta work for your money, so the longer hours, the better you got paid. I did that off and on. Oh, you do. I was gonna eat a sandwich, and I'm like, might as well eat a sandwich and talk about my traveling, knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. This is also a van life hack. You can get this humongous sandwich for $6 and eat it twice. Anyway, so when I got to Oregon, hold on, I'm gonna rip it in half. A little curious on this flavor. Anyways, back to my story. I lived in Oregon for about 2 months on the road, saved up some money, and then I had friends in Northern California. So I decided to pack up my things, head into the unknown yet again. Went to California, hung out with some buddies in like a cabin in the middle of the woods. That was awesome. I met a really cool person named Julian. He's from Argentina. And I basically trusted his intuition and traveling experience, and basically he needed to buy a car. So we went into Oregon, back again. And at this point I had lost my drone. Like 2 days before I left Oregon, I lost my drone in the woods. I got a video way back on that, but I lost my drone, and then I drove down Highway 101, and if you know what highway I'm talking about, it's like rated number within like 1 out of 5 most beautiful scenic drives that you can possibly do. So I went from the middle of Oregon all the way to Southern California, or Northern California, I should say, and there I got to Northern California, I met Julian, and at this time I had gotten a new drone, and he needed to buy a car in Oregon, so we actually went back up into Oregon, bought like a 1994 Geo Metro, and we lived in that car for like a week and a half as we just kind of slowly cruised down Highway 101 from the middle of Oregon back down to Nevada City, California, right outside of Sacramento-ish area in the mountains. And yeah, long story short, me and him traveled for like 2 weeks, but I also knew him for probably 2 months, off and on, hanging out in California. And then I actually got in trouble in Reno. One night we went over to Reno and I got arrested. That's a long story. But then I had to go back and forth to court in Reno. I actually pled not guilty and then went back to Nevada City. And after that, I went to my first court, and I actually didn't think that I would have to go back to court, but unfortunately I did. But then with Jules, he wanted to go to Phoenix, Arizona, and I had friends there about to go to the Gem Show. They were also living in a van, so I was like, that kind of makes sense to like keep going. So me and Jules packed up my van, and this was the first time that I had traveled with anybody in my own vehicle. This was a huge thing with my patience and just learning about letting go, and also like possessions or like my things are only my things, because with traveling with him, you know, I shared my van space. He slept on the floor. He still needed to brush his teeth. He still needed to use the restroom. He still needed to do things that I needed to do. And because of that, we like learned together that like traveling is possible if you guys can tolerate each other. And tolerating each other literally is all in your head. There would be days where I'd be frustrated and just be like, you know what, whatever, today's still beautiful and I appreciate you as a friend. So at the end of the day, you just gotta like drop your differences, or just drop what I was trying to hang on to for some reason. So that was a huge thing. I let go, and this was like the first thing that I could possibly do on the road that I felt was like one of those things that I was like, you know, traveling taught me this. That's one thing. Letting go and trusting strangers. I was very vulnerable in my space and allowed him to be there, and that in itself brought tons of new experiences that I would have never experienced otherwise. On our way to Phoenix, Arizona to drop him off, and then I went to Tucson. We actually stopped in LA and I met Tara. Tara's really awesome. Tara was actually like a really cool milestone in my traveling because she was like a love interest. We shared a bond that was really incredible, but she lived in LA. So I actually met her, hung out with her one night with Jules. We went dancing at a club and had a bunch of fun. Then I went to Arizona for I think about 2 weeks, and the whole 2 weeks I was in Arizona, I was texting Tara like, I have nothing to do, I'll come back to California. That was really cool because then I did, and then I went back to Tara, and we were basically in a relationship for almost going on 3 months. But at the end of 3 months, I just still had this like feeling that I still needed to travel and like move on. So then I actually met people in Oregon on that original job site that were from Utah. In fact, it was my, his name is Hunter and Elena. They're from Utah. Hunter is a photographer and Elena is his like travel companion. They had like a Outback that was converted into like a little tiny home, and there was 2 people traveling in it doing photography and like living on BLM land and stuff. And to me, I've never seen anything like that. So when I was out in the West Coast area, I was just like, this is so unusual, and it's such a norm out here, people living in their cars, that like, it's awesome. Because where I'm from, there's winter and people don't have time to live in a car. Also, the humidity in Minnesota is like insane. It feels like it's probably like 115 when it's really like 85. The mayo is pretty good. Sriracha mayo. I do want to bring up a point. When I was in Oregon, I did get a Planet Fitness pass because when I left that property that I was working on, I no longer had a shower, and that was like a crucial thing in my traveling, as I didn't have a solar shower or anything, so I needed a Planet Fitness. So I went to Utah and actually visited the photographer that I met in Oregon, which is Hunter and Elena. And Hunter was a really cool, he does like landscape photography and he's really, really good at it. Like professional Nat Geo type of good at it. So when I went out there, we actually stayed on BLM land. He had a camper on BLM land right outside of Zion National Park. And he knew a couple different spots. So we actually didn't go into Zion until the last day. And we only spent like an hour and a half in there. We basically drove the bus in, checked out the end, which I think we walked all the way up and saw the canyon where you could no longer go up into Zion. Checked out Angel's Landing, like basically from the ground up. Took some photography. I did a little bit of video shooting with him. And then we just like hung out and like explored on our own. I got some really incredible footage, like drone footage, just outside of National Park. Yeah, just some like really cool spots that we probably would have never found if I wasn't with Hunter. Because he would just sit on his phone and look at these amazing spots. And he even brought me to caves and stuff where there was water running in the desert and you could see petroglyphs from Native Americans from like 5,000 years ago. It was a really incredible experience. I've never seen petroglyphs in my life. I really don't even know much about them besides people hunkered in these shelters, and there was like an altar of bones and paintings on the walls that was still visible today. And it was kind of like only known by the locals of where that spot was, so that was really cool. He also taught me a lot about just surviving on the land and living in a vehicle and doing what you do no matter what your living situation is. That was such an incredible feeling, being like, everybody's doing this. It feels so right and it feels so taboo at the same time. It was really weird. But anyways, when I finished up with Utah, I was actually coming back to Minnesota the spring of 2019. And then when I got back, I actually worked concrete, kind of saved up some money, paid off some credit card debt. I actually rebuilt the transmission in my Chevy G20. So I literally did like a 10,000 mile loop around the West Coast over a span of 9 months. Man, I just had a crazy experience right at the end there because I was just getting back to Minnesota. I had to dump money into a project that I was basically running on fumes with. And then I actually did continue to live in the van all summer. When I was traveling, it was just like constant hesitation about like, is the transmission gonna slip? And to me, I think that was the biggest setback on my trip, is I always felt like I was gonna break down. My buddy Drew was letting me sleep in my van outside of his garage. So I had shore power, and I went into, God, what month was that? It was like, but I do remember that it was about -5 degrees in Minnesota. And I don't know if you've ever been at -5 degrees in Minnesota, but it is cold, windy, and I had a space heater running 24/7, and I was still using the Planet Fitness down the road. So I was living off grid, plugged into shore power, so sort of on grid, paying zero utilities, paying no rent. And that actually helped provide this space. Like, I have an art studio now, and this space is like super awesome, and I love this area and this space, and I feel super grateful to have this, especially after traveling. Like, this is such like a safe spot for me and my art to like kind of expand and sort of like look back on those memories, but be in a studio and not in an apartment, to work and hustle. And that's why I'm trying to make more videos, because I want to explain my stories. I want to talk about the experiences that I had, and also the learning experiences that I acquired over months on the road and months back here, but still continuing to live in a vehicle, and how to maintain, you know, like a daily routine and lifestyle and social life while living in a van. And I want to explain some of that to you guys more in detail. But I just feel like I needed to talk about my story and kind of my rebrand. So that's kind of where I am now. Right now, I'm in an art studio, and I'm converting a minivan into basically like what started as an art minivan. Like, if I had like an art mural, you know, 3 hours away, I could still take the job and still live in my van because it's totally comfortable doing that. But now, I moved out of my friend's house in the spring, so I'm like kind of exclusively like spending all of my time here, except I don't sleep here. I basically eat lunch, brush my teeth, start my day, get a lot of painting and other video and other projects done. But also, sleeping in my van at night is amazing, especially now in the summertime where it's like cool. But you know, good things won't last forever. I'm definitely keeping in the radar about future things, and I so badly want to get a trailer and go out west again. but this time just have a trailer for all of my art, so it's taken out of my van, because that was also another big hurdle that I had to deal with, was living around humongous artwork. But then again, I respected the artwork in the process because that's what kept me on the road financially. I would sell a painting and go forward, and you know, it kind of put the gas in my tank and gave me a little bit of optimism why I was doing it in the first place. And now, about a year later, I'm actually seeing the ripple effects of the connections that I made out west. Like, people are like, yo, come back through. We got a place for you. I got work for you. Basically, I was like planting seeds for future harvest. Now I have connections out on the West Coast that I would have never had if I never left. And I think that's really important, I guess, for me as an artist, because connections is where it's at. So now that I'm in Minnesota back again, and it's like, kind of the summer is dragging out and this pandemic, I really don't know what I'm gonna be doing, but I do wanna make more videos where I'm talking to you guys, and I figure why not have like a lunch break type of conversation? Like, talk to me in the comments and tell me what you guys wanna hear. I have a couple of other people now are getting very into van life and like have told me that I'm like a huge influence that like kind of pushed them over the edge to like buy their own minivan or start looking at YouTube videos. And I love talking to people about van life. So it isn't glamorous by any means, but you can make it a beautiful lifestyle by giving up everything. You give up everything and you have everything. It's all in here, man. And I think that's a very powerful tool, especially with your own like self-independence and self-confidence that you can achieve stuff if you put your mind to it. I typically don't drink soda, but I think it's too early for a beer. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Hopefully you had a little lunch as well. Gotta keep your belly full, keep your mind at ease, and basically ask yourself, am I really happy? And what could I possibly do to push me out of my comfort zone? I'm sure you guys have some questions. Drop them in the comments if you want me to reply back about little maybe snippets from my story, or just the quick like elevator talk kind of what happened when I was on the road. I mean, there's so much little random stuff that happened in between there, but I did change the name of my YouTube channel to The Sole Purpose. Now, maybe I'll explain that in a different video, but basically I just wanted to make a more universal channel to explain more than just van life. And I also really enjoy like the garage life or the farm life. So whatever it is, if people tell you you can't do it anyways, because why not? I like to show what I'm up to and learning things, you know, like I do a lot of things without knowing how to do it, and then I just do it anyways, and then I can show you what I did and what didn't work or what did work and the before and after. I don't know, I'm kind of dabbling in with like product reviews too, because I've gotten a lot of products on the road through van life or even in my artistic life or tools. I don't know, I got a bunch of street smarts and I'd rather just talk about it all and give the sole purpose of who I am. So the sole purpose is a nickname, a play on words for the word Del Sol, my nickname, but soul is of the sun or inner, you know, my inner soul. So the sole purpose of this whole channel now is to help you guys understand what I'm up to, how to kind of like mimic the way I do things if you're interested, and kind of just like inform you guys on what to do or what not to do, or giving you the option to choose. So I guess I could ramble all night, and if I do that, I might have to eat the other half of this sandwich, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna throw that back in the refrigerator. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you want to see more content like this or just interested in more stories, drop a comment, hit subscribe. I don't really care. I honestly just really like making videos, and I like to explain stuff, and I like to look back on my own content and be like, that was a while ago and that's still relevant. So anyways, hope you guys have a good day.